Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown. Watching the Heat-Knicks game last night, you would think that the Heat wouldn't take the game that seriously because they didn't have LeBron and Wade and Chalmers playing. And that's normally the case, especially because they're so far out in front, but you know once the game gets started they want to compete and put their stamp on the Knicks and let them know they don't get beat that easily. However, Carmelo went off for his career-high tying 50-point night. A lot of those shots were Carmelo shots that only he could make, but a lot of them were definitely on poor defense and very poor adjustment by Spoelstra. Also, I believe the Knicks were able to expose some system things that the Heat do on defense that would get other stars like Melo easy open shots. The Knicks open up with a very simple cross screen from Melo. Haslam does a good job fighting around, and Melo hits a contested jumper. This was not a good sign for Miami. The Knicks have Melo set a pin down to start, which is always a great way to get him open. Watch how Haslam does a terrific job fronting the post, not allowing Melo position. Felton doesn't force it to him, initiating a pick and roll with Chandler going away from Melo. Haslam is forced to bump Chandler on the roll, and this gives Melo too much daylight. The Heat have a chance in transition to get Haslam on Melo, but for some reason they don't attempt to switch, leaving Bosh to give him too much room on this pull-up three. One of the first ISOs from Melo turns into a pick and roll, and the Heat opt to switch way too easily. Bosh does a decent job, but the Heat have let him get on fire, and he's on a roll. Now that Melo's got the NBA Jam big head, Haslam has to go for this fake, and he nails the open 18-footer. Nothing you can do. At this point, you've got to make him put the ball on the ground and move. Haslam doesn't even put a hand up. Awful defense on the hottest guy in the gym. Spoelstra puts Battier on Melo, and he does a nice job fronting the post. However, he loses contact with Melo when he moves to defend the lob. You can't sleep for a second out there. Battier does a decent job making the catch a little harder, but when Melo gets the ball back, Miller even comes over to double team. There is nothing you can do about this. Melo is too good. Battier does a great job fronting Melo, but then does a classic overhelp, unnecessary because he had a teammate behind him to cover Felton. With Melo as hot as he is, he must stay home on him. When you're playing against a guy having a career night and he's as good as Melo, you have to bump him, grind him, take him out of his rhythm, give him a hard foul or two to see if you can't get him to get out of his head, kind of like what the Bulls did with LeBron last week when they ended the streak. But you don't see any of that happening here. If you just isolate on Carmelo, he gets kind of wander free and not have a lot of physical contact for most of this game, and it was frustrating because that's the way you got to stop him. I don't know, think Michael Cooper on Larry Bird back in the day and how rough that was. And that's what you got to do, and that's what you need to be able to get away with to stop a guy like that. And had they been able to do that, the Heat probably would have won the game. Knicks take advantage of Melo on the weak side of the pick and roll. They know the Heat always help on the roll man, freeing up Melo for a blow-by. Good help by Rashard Lewis, but Haslam again doesn't even get a hand up. On this out-of-bounds play, Haslam needs to chase Melo around and Bosh needs to step up towards Melo. Neither of these things happen and Melo continues to light it up. Here's my pet peeve, helping one pass away. Even if there is a situation to do it, you certainly can't help off of Carmelo Anthony in the middle of a career night. Again, pick and roll with Melo on the weak side. Haslam pursues the ball, gets a little too deep. However, this is a great pass by Felton. On the post-up, Haslam foolishly gambles on a steal. If he's not going to front, he has to play the position, wait for the double team, and rely on the Heat's superior rotation ability. Here's a little high post set designed to get Carmelo Anthony low post position. Why the Heat don't double down, I have no idea. Once again, Battier has to help on the roll man, yet he's in good position to get back to Melo, but he doesn't turn his body and run as fast as he can to get Melo off the three-point line. This shot was crucial to the Knicks winning the game. And here's the career-high tying icing on the cake, pulling up for a contested 20-footer with a hand in his face. It was his world, and we're just living in it. So there you have it, sports fans. There is a bit of a weakness with the pick and roll defense by the Miami Heat when it's going toward the middle of the floor. They love to hedge high and then bring the weak side defender over to bump the roll man. And if teams can figure out how to align themselves correctly, you can have guys like Kevin Durant or Manu or other really good shooters in the Spurs in that corner getting wide open looks when the point guard can fly it over there when he's open. And that's going to be one problem that the Heat are going to have to face and probably adjust a little bit if they're going to have a hope of stopping that play. Well, thanks for joining us for this little mini breakdown on the Carmelo career night. Very impressive when he plays like that with very little ISO and working out of the offense. Something I would hope he would do more often because he could have more nights like this. Well, thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for lots more coming up as we head to the playoffs. I'm getting really excited. Are you guys? Because don't forget, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?